Last but not least, Section 5, Community Colleges and Other Topics. We're approaching the end of this presentation. There are a few items that still haven't been addressed, and we'll just skim them quickly at the end. One is segmented wall systems per IR 16-3, glass unit masonry, IM 2.5, masonry retrofit, and non-structural layout issues. This is a picture of a layout of a typical segmented masonry wall. Another picture showing a closer up of a segmented wall. You can see the netting behind it for compaction in order to properly brace the walls for its retained earth requirements. Not much has changed for glass unit masonry. They can only be used for non-structural walls. Maximum panel side is 25-foot horizontal and 20-foot maximum based on wind load designs. Standard thickness is 3 7/8 inches thick. It must be supported on all edges by either masonry, concrete, or steel. There must be 1 inch confinement at the top of the edges. All gaps must be filled at head and jamb areas. Horizontal reinforcements required at 16 inches on center max. Joint reinforcement consists of 2 parallel wires with wire cross ties. Other masonry issues are retrofitting non-reinforced brick walls. You can see in this illustration where they've used strong backs to anchor to the masonry blocks to hold them in place. Here's another typical picture of strong back of unreinforced masonry walls. Another good typical issue in masonry construction is the location of non-structural openings. You can see in this illustration that there are a few openings at the top of the wall that the structural engineer has not taken care of. This may have been missed in the design and construction and the plan review. This does have to be brought to the attention of the structural engineer or DSA. Last but not least is issues concerning community college, which is unique to DSA and K-12 schools. There are alternate building standards when it comes to community colleges. Community colleges may elect to use different code requirement design parameters and amendments in the CBC Chapter 21 for masonry units. The amended list in CBC 2101 and 2114 identifies DSA SS-CC to locate and show the differences in code. The DSA SS amendments were carried over except those that do not contribute to the seismic and safety performance. The removed prospective grout construction requirements, and the following slides will highlight the difference between the DSA SS and the DSA SS-CC differences. These are the code sections that cover typical provisions in the community college code requirements. The 4 main issues and differences between the community colleges and DSAs is the segregation of grout material provisions are not adopted when non-structural safety issues performed. Partial grouting is allowed in freestanding sidewalls that use running bonds. DSA's SS requirements for reinforcing grout masonry is not adopted, and you'll see that on the next screen. And this includes requirements that grouting procedures shall be described on construction documents, since DSA SS has high lift and low lift grouting procedures. The following are the general DSA SS requirements that are not adopted. 1 is stack bond requires open-end units at 16 on center spacing. Second one is vertical cells or clean grout space dimensions. You'll have to check table 3.2.1 for requirements. The clear space between masonry reinforcing is 1 bar diameter. That's not included. The minimum depth of a bond beam channel is not restrictive, and the requirements for high lift and low lift construction is not required for community colleges for construction. Another item the DSA requires that the community college code does not require is testing of the compressive straight of the grout when the F prime of M is greater than 2000 psi. Now we're approaching the completion of our presentation. These are the typical items that have been covered in this class. So please be aware, and if you have any questions, please direct them to your DSA field offices. This concludes the Masonry section of the Project Overview Training class from DSA. Thanks for attending.